Breaking news, everyone. Listen up. So on June 9th, 2022, the FMCSA decided that it was time to revise its guidance on freight brokers and agents. And so, if you are a motor carrier or a dispatcher, you really need to listen up. You absolutely cannot afford to miss this information. If you are thinking about getting into this industry as a broker, motor carrier, or dispatcher, pause this video. I want you to share it with everyone. Share it, share it, share it. Get this word out there. First of all, make sure you share this video, okay? This video needs to get into the eyes of everyone who's in this industry and thinking about getting into it, okay? And then the next thing I want you to do is grab a seat, grab a beverage, and listen to exactly what I'm about to explain to you, because what I'm going to tell you is exactly how this is going to affect us and exactly what we have to do about it. Now, listen, not have to. This is what we must do about it. This isn't a need, all right? This is a must. This is a must. So at the end of this video, I'm going to give you very specific instructions. So make sure you stay with me. Okay, y'all. All right. So before I get into it, listen, y'all knew I was going to do it. Y'all knew I was going to do it. And I had to. I'm sorry. I had to. I literally had to. Because if you've been with me long enough and you've consumed enough of my content, especially if you've taken any of my courses, especially if you've taken the mentorship, you already know that I despise the word dispatchers, dispatch or dispatch services, dispatch company. Although I teach a course, right? Although I started as a dispatcher, right? But to me, the title just sounds a little bit too basic, right? Because it's just basic. And I've been telling y'all for a long time to get away from using that term and using certain phrases because you're misrepresenting yourself. I've been telling y'all to be careful of who you let train you and who you follow. And I've been saying this. And if you go back and watch my videos, I've been trying to tell y'all. I've been trying to tell y'all. And the only reason why this came out, and not that, like I said, it's not a bad thing because it's about time for some clarity, but the only reason these questions are being raised is because there are people who are in fact operating illegally and breaking the rules. And who knows, they may have found some type of weird, strange loophole that possibly backfired on them. And now they're coming after the industry as a whole. Who knows? But either way, we have to be more careful. And you have to do your own due diligence. And if you haven't been doing it before, you need to start doing it from today on. From now moving forward, that is what you need to do. This is your last and final wake up call. That's it. Now, I've been doing this for a while now, and I sat back and I watched this issue just keep coming up and keep coming up. And like I said, I tried to warn everybody. And so I'm asking you to help me make this video go viral, because I don't know if it's a case of people really aren't listening, or maybe enough people aren't seeing it. So I need your help. I really need this to be put in the faces of the ones that care, the ones that are careful. And for the ones who regulate this industry, they need to know that those of us who are real, we mean no harm. Okay? We mean no harm. So I repeat, if your stuff isn't in order, this is your last warning. Business, then you definitely need to take heed to this warning. It doesn't matter if you are a new dispatcher, old dispatcher. It doesn't matter if you dispatch on the side. It don't matter if you dispatch full time. You need to listen to this message. You need to take this information very, very serious. It's not a game. So before I get into it, I realize that there might be a couple of people who are coming across this information and you don't know exactly who I am. And so if you are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome to my channel. Hope you enjoy it. Here, I am Chelsea. I'm your favorite mentor. I am what I also used to call myself, I guess, a dispatcher. But today, I consider myself to be what I coined back in 2020, an executive carrier support specialist, right? I'm also the creator and course writer of Dispatch Dashboard. I'm a coach. I guess you can say I'm an author as well. I don't know. And in addition to that, like I said, I dispatch, quote unquote dispatch. Right now, I am the director of operations for one of my client companies. And in addition to that, as you guys already know, is I teach people how to run their business the right way, the honest way, and how to truly make a lasting impact on those that you support. And so I made another video on the topic of double brokering. And if you haven't watched that video, please make sure you go and watch it in its entirety. To me, I feel like that was a signal. I put the call out there to let everybody know that this conversation is coming up and to clean it up, to get it together. But I'm really not sure if anybody listened to me. I'm not sure. So please make sure you go and watch that video. Watch the whole thing because you need to know if you're in this business or you trying to get into this business, you need to know. And I just want to help you. Okay. Also check out my other content. I talk about very important subjects that maybe a lot of people can't find or come up with an answer to on your own, or really without somebody beating around the bush or giving you like the long answer. Um, what you'll see with me and all of my videos and my training, and especially if you work with me individually, you know that I tell things exactly how it is. Like I am not a person who sugarcoats anything. And my kids, they tell me all the time. I always get the mom. Like I'm sorry, I just I'm just so straight to the point, right? I don't know. Maybe it's my old soul. I mean, I just hope that nobody takes it personal. I'd rather you hear it somewhere. That's from somebody that's going to tell you the truth than to be blindsided by giving partial answers or really not knowing what's going on, right? This is why I'm here to prepare you for what's getting ready to take place. And I want to tell you all what you need to do next. So hear me out. I want to go ahead and get right into it. All right, so let's get right into it. So, in a statement released on June 9th, it reads, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is moving closer to settling a controversy over how to define freight brokers while also clarifying the level of financial penalties for unauthorized brokerages. In a notice scheduled to be published in the Federal Register on Friday, FMCSA is asking the public for responses to a series of questions to inform future guidance on the definitions of broker and bona fide agents, the agency stated. Over the past decade, FMCSA has received numerous inquiries and several petitions related to the definition of a broker. FMCSA is aware that there are significant stakeholder interests in how FMCSA enforces unauthorized brokerages, it noted. Part of the problem is that there are differences in definition of broker in different sections of the federal regulations. In addition, because the responsibilities of truck brokers and freight dispatchers sometimes overlap, there's a question as to whether a dispatch service is acting as a licensed broker without proper authority. For example, FMCSA points out in its information request that some dispatch services cite Federal Regulation 49 CFR 371.2b as the reason they don't get an FMCSA brokerage authority registration. The section states that bona fide agents are part of the normal organization of a federal motor carrier and perform duties under the carrier's directions pursuant to pre-existing agreement, which provides for a continued relationship, precluding the exercise of discretion on the part of the agent in allocating traffic between the carrier and others. It also says, but some dispatch services interpret this regulation, FMCSA notes, as allowing them to represent more than one carrier, yet not obtain broker operating authority registration. Others interpret this regulation to argue that a dispatch service can only represent one carrier without obtaining broker authority. FMCSA stated that its new guidance is required by law to take into consideration the extent to which technology has changed the nature of freight brokerage and the role of bona fide agents in other aspects of the freight transportation industry. Additionally, FMCSA must at a minimum examine the role of dispatch service in the transportation, examine the extent to which dispatch services could be considered brokers or bona fide agents, clarify the level of financial penalties for unauthorized brokerage activities under 49 USC 14916 applicable to a dispatch service. And so I wanted to talk about FMCSA's questions as well. And so here are some of the questions. And in addition to these questions, you will see my answers. And so this video is also going to serve as my public answer, my public response, in which I will also be sending in writing to the FMCSA. And what I really want you all to do is to do the exact same thing. If nobody responds, then whatever happens beyond that is out of our control. They're giving us an opportunity to address the situation, and we really do need to speak up. I repeat, we really do need to speak up. Everybody, if you're watching this video, it's time. It is our time to shine. We need to clear this up. And we need to make it so that if anything, okay, yes, maybe they might want us to get some type of professional license for it. But an authority to do what? We aren't, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into all of that, but let me just get into the questions and we'll go from there. Okay, all right, so let's get into these questions, shall we? All right, so these are questions 1 and 2. First question, what evaluation criteria should FMCSA use when determining whether a business model or entity meets the definition of a broker? I went over this in my other video, but I'll explain it again. And the second question is, provide examples of operations that meet the definition of broker in 49 CFR 371.2 and examples of operations that do not meet the definition of 49 CFR 371.2. Now, if you want a more thorough explanation of this, go back and watch my video. It's called Are Freight Dispatchers Double Brokering, or something around the realm. I can't think of the exact title, but make sure you go back and watch that video, because if you don't understand, that explains it for you. But I'm also going to explain it here in my answer to this. Okay, so right now, the current definition per Title 49 states, broker of property is an individual, partnership, or corporation that receive payment for arranging the transportation of property belonging to others by using an authorized motor carrier. A broker does not assume responsibility for the property and never takes possession of it. All right. Key thing here is that a broker of property receives payment for arranging the transportation of property. That is the definition of a freight broker. That is the criteria. All right. If you arrange in the transportation of property, then you are a broker. If you're using a motor carrier, you are a broker. You got to have the authority. Title 49 also states that the term broker means a person other than a motor carrier or an employee or agent of a motor carrier that has principal or agent, sells, offers for sale, negotiates for, or holds itself out by solicitation, advertisement, or otherwise as selling, providing, or arranging for transportation by motor carrier for compensation. All right, so let's talk about this. Dispatchers, right? don't sell, offer for sale, negotiate for, or hold themselves out by solicitation, advertisement, or otherwise selling, providing, or arranging for the transportation of motor carrier for compensation. All right, so if a broker arranges the transportation and the transportation is already arranged, right? It's arranged because it's brokered, right? That's what brokering does, right? Um, a dispatcher, or what most people, what I also was calling a dispatcher, does not do that. A dispatcher does not arrange transportation by a motor carrier. We don't arrange for shippers to get the freight move. It's already arranged by the time we get to it. You know what I mean? And it's being solicited by the people who arrange it. Am I making sense? Right? Any if a person other than a motor carrier is arranging for the transportation of motor carriers for compensation, you're a broker, right? But this is not what a dispatcher does. A dispatcher doesn't do anything in this definition, right? At all. And so here's my actual response. Okay. As of now, the freight broker model connects shippers who need to move their commodities with carriers that can transport them. So the broker makes the connection, between the shipper and the carriers, right? Because connecting the shippers and the carriers is arranging freight, right? So that means a broker goes to the shipper and the shipper tells the broker to arrange something to be moved from one place to another. And the broker has to arrange it. They do that by finding an owner operator or a carrier or just a truck to do that. And they have to sell this offer so that a motor carrier can pick it up. This is why you hear me say, don't post loads. You are not a broker. You don't have any freight to solicit. I really want this to marinate, you know? At the same time, dispatch services do not follow this model. Dispatch services do not follow this model. Dispatch services do not connect shippers who need to move their commodities with carriers that can transport them. Why? Because you need a broker authority to do so. So, that is why we don't do that. But here's the thing. Dispatch services kind of have a name for doing that because when that's what they think. I don't know. I don't know the similarities between why they I don't know, but it's happening, right? It's happening. And so as far as the model, the business model for dispatch services, let me paint a picture for you. Okay. If a truck driver who also drives for 14 hours and can only rest and has to rest for the other 10, mind you, it's 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, they get 34 hours to rest. And if they aren't at home, how much resting are they doing? They have kids and a family. How much resting are they doing? All their time is going to their family. How much time in a day do they have to sort out their legal documents, as far as like all of their rate confirmations, like when do they have time to sort that? Most of the clients that have come to me, they aren't keeping track of their work that they did. They can't give you an actual number of how much they made in the past 30 days or last month because they are so busy, they don't have time. And so if they have to do all of that, they have to sort out their legal documents. They also have to make sure they stay in compliant. And that means as far as the truck and as far as the, all that paperwork and inspections and files and all that, you got to have that stuff, right? They also have to communicate with dozens of brokers every single day while they're driving or should be resting. Are they safe? Are they safe? Are they? How are they expected to keep track of their performance, expenses, files, maintenance, and try to have enough time and money and resources and energy left to spend on and with their families? What about those single truck companies and owner operators that are either just getting out there? Maybe they've been out there for a while. What about them? They can't ask for help. They can't get no support. Meanwhile, these freight brokerages and, they have hundreds of freight agents, thousands of freight agents. So they don't know what it's like to be a one-man show, a one-person show. And little do they know, maybe they don't realize, is that a lot of these smaller companies, one-truck companies, is keeping the damn economy going. If it wasn't for them getting out there and sacrificing their time to get out there and make sure that they can keep stuff moving, keep the economy full and fruitful, and the shelves stocked, who's going to do that? The brokers don't technically move anything. They arrange for it. So these dispatch services, they aren't trying to steal the job of a broker. We're not here to help you. We're not here to do anything that you do. We're not here to make your job harder either. We are solely here to help the owner operators and the trucking companies, and that's it. And so again, freight brokers and freight agents do not operate using the same models as dispatch companies. Freight brokers are the liaisons of freight between motor carriers and shippers. And as that being their sole purpose and role, they do not hold the best interests of motor carriers. Many freight brokers have unrealistic expectations. They operate under unfair practices such as double brokering and other oppressive acts that they often perform against other motor carriers. If you look on a lot of these, reviews, you'll see the brokers are quick to leave a negative comment, but they have no idea what you go through in that truck. And so, although dispatch services are also known for booking loads, besides scheduling truck movements, which has nothing to do with the freight, has everything to do with the truck, the model is completely different in every aspect. Am I clear? Am I making myself? It's like, am I getting the message through? All right, so let's get on to question number 3. This question asks, what role should the possession of money exchanged between shippers and motor carriers in a broker transaction play in determining whether one is conducting a brokerage? Okay, the possession of money between shippers and motor carriers in a broker transaction it has nothing to do with a dispatch service, because dispatch services do not, under any circumstances, conduct any type of financial transactions between motor carrier and brokers, or motor carriers and shippers. The possession of money between shippers and motor carriers is a role outside of the scope of the dispatch service business model. Motor carriers are paid directly from a broker or a contracted shipper, whereas dispatch companies do not and cannot. Motor carriers are paid directly from a broker either via quick pay, net 30, where they have to wait 30 days, right? Or factoring. The payment should never go to a dispatcher. And this question being raised is alarming to me because are there dispatch services and dispatch companies out here doing this? And I asked this question in my last video because I honestly, I've never seen it. I mean, of course, because I operate, I'm very genuine. I don't blur the lines of anything. That's why I'm here. But no, dispatchers do not and better not and cannot conduct any type of financial transactions between motor carrier and brokers. The most that you can do when it comes to the finances is to make sure that they have all their documents in order for them to receive payment. That's the only thing that we do. When we want to make sure that the carrier gets paid for the services they render and that they provide for the movement of this freight that they get from the shippers or the brokers, they receive specific instructions on where to send payment. And it is the broker's responsibility to make sure they send it legally. So, which means, shouldn't the company name be on all documents? Are there brokers who are accepting mismatched information? I'm just not understanding how this happens. And if that happens, it's if a broker pays a dispatch company instead of the motor carrier. Now, unless a dispatch company is using an MC number, but if in that case, if a dispatch company has an MC number, a motor carrier MC number, guess what they are? A motor carrier. They're not a broker. Let's continue. Question 4. How would you define the term dispatch service? Is there a commonly accepted definition? What role do dispatch services play in the transportation industry? And this is a 3-part question, and so I'm going to answer all 3 parts. All right. Dispatch services are evolving, and as of 2022, the term dispatch has taken a name that may have misconstrued the industry's understanding of what services are actually performed, the process, and how dispatch services are paid. The truth is, there are some companies that misrepresent themselves either intentionally or unknowingly. But the term dispatch service and freight... My cats are fighting. Can y'all stop? The term dispatch service and freight broker or agent aren't interchangeable with dispatch services. It's just not. But perhaps it is time to publicly declare and clarify the separate ways in which they operate in this industry. Let's clean it up, right? Let's clear it up. And you're going to see some typos in there. Listen, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. This is my 3rd time trying to record this video. So, and listen, I saw the typos and I meant to go back and fix it, but I'm tired and I want to get this out because I don't want to have to come back and do it again. All right. So anyway, according to the Oxford language, dispatch means to send off to a destination or for a purpose, or to deal with a task, problem, or opponent quickly and efficiently. Now, if a freight broker arranges for the transportation of freight, right? That means they can arrange it however it's moved. If they want to send it on a airplane, they can. They want to put it on the train, they can. They want to put it in the back of somebody's trunk. If it fits, they can. They can. Right? But are they the ones sending off a truck? Or are they sending the freight? Because I would think that they sending the freight, right? Otherwise, what did you get it for? Did you obtain the truck or did you obtain the freight? Freight brokers obtain the freight, right? Freight brokers obtain the freight. They send off the freight. We send off the truck. You get it? In addition to that, we deal with dispatch also means a task, a problem, or opponent quickly and efficiently, right? One of the highlights or top benefits of these services and companies is their ability to schedule and coordinate truck movements, which means to send off to a destination for a purpose. The purpose is what? Okay. Are we coordinating it? No. It already has its purpose. The purpose is the to and from. We just sending them for delivery, right? But in addition to that, we handle additional tasks and we solve other problems that may or may not be unrelated to truck movements quickly and efficiently. Oh, my typos are so messy, but y'all get the point, right? What dispatch services actually are and should be is a carrier support agent or agency or service, just as marketing companies are hired to do the job of advertising. Accountants and tax agents are hired to manage accounts and file taxes, right? Right? And have the best interests of their clients, right? Just as many companies hire contractors and third parties for support, as do dispatch services. However, in my experience, right, dispatch is only a part of my role, and that's only a fraction of what I do to support my clients on a day-to-day basis that I work with. That's not the end all be all. And that's why it's how you representing yourself, right? When I got into this industry, for me, I saw how hard truck drivers work and how unnoticed they are. I've seen trucking companies falling apart because they didn't have their affairs in order. It wasn't that they weren't trying, but many of them were still solely responsible for the daily operations of running a whole entire trucking company, whether it was one truck or five, right? While not having enough time in a day or anyone to help them manage the business. And so our role is beyond booking loads or getting top freight dedicated lanes. Listen, we grown past that line. I don't want to hear y'all say that no more. I don't want to see it on nobody else's flyer. Stop. All right? Because due to the wording, this should not be used in relation to these services. That's not going to help us right now. So stop it. As an executive carrier support specialist and mentor, I help trucking companies and small fleets stay in business. Although the scope may differ depending on the needs of each client, I do this by managing day-to-day files, creating daily, weekly, and maybe monthly performance reports on various things such as fuel, driver performance, total revenue, etc., submitting proper invoices, POD settlements, scheduling and coordinating truck movements, not arranging freight. Not the same thing. Perform safety meetings and new driver hire or orientations. Okay, work 24/7 to keep the line open between driver and broker. We suggest ways to grow your business and help you obtain certifications, memberships like SmartWay, TIA, driver, and help drivers obtain endorsements, permits, and clearances. Right? We help small companies establish better relationships with brokers and obtain better CSA scores, right? We help build your online presence and help you get noticed and be Googleable, right? We help you stay compliant and saved, and we're always ready and available to make calls for help for you when things go wrong. And so, with that being said, I beg to ask: do freight brokers do any of these things? Do freight brokers do any of these things? I hope y'all leaving comments. Boost this video. Please give this video some engagement. Share it, like it, put this message out there. Let people know. If people had questions about what's going on, listen. Let people know. Because we gotta talk about this. We got to talk about this. Okay, on to question 5. Do dispatch services need to obtain a business license, employer identification number from the state in which they primarily conduct business? Um, Dispatch services are businesses, legitimate businesses, and they do, in fact, need to be legally established businesses within your state, and you must have a federal identification number. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because dispatch services, just like every other company, can um, apply for established credit, right? Apply for financing and funding, right? They can grow into a trucking company or a brokerage if they want to, just like any other company can use their revenue to grow their business, right? And as a contractor, every dispatch service, just like when your motor carrier and your broker, you have to have a W-9, right? So does a dispatch service. You should provide and provide a full and complete W-9 for your dispatch service to the carrier, the motor carrier that you're working with, along with an agreement in order for a relationship to be established between a motor carrier and a dispatch company or service. This should clearly outline the services being provided, which it does. And really, all somebody has to do is ask for a copy of that agreement, and it specifically describes the relationship. And yes, the agreement includes a fee for services that are rendered and performed, and whether it be a flat fee or a percentage of revenue, of company revenue. Most contractors follows this same legal process in other industries. Question number 6. If a dispatch service represents more than one carrier, does this in and of itself make it a broker operating with authority? Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is I've read Title 49 in and out. I read it forward and I read it backwards. I read it from the left side and I read it to the right side. And nowhere in that language does it say that even a bona fide agent can only work with one client. There's not, if there's not a company um established on this planet that is surviving off of one client. How is that possible? Do you mean to tell me that some of these regulations, or the people who are concerned and filed these petitions and raised this issue, they really believe that a person would go out their way and set up a whole entire business and create a whole entire entity just to service one client? How's that possible? Just like any other business or service or company, right? They're allowed to hire employees, relatives, and often work with partners. Most dispatchers are working together as a team anyway. Are they required to work alone as an individual and not hire anyone, even to grow? What's going on with that? Just like most contractors, construction, call centers, and even like the in-home workers, like housekeeping, cleaning companies, maids, and other industries, they work with multiple clients. They have to in order to stay profitable and stay in business. Why can't a dispatch company do it? Why can't a dispatch service do it? Why not? Question number 7. When should a dispatch service be considered a bona fide agent? Okay, let's get in it. According to Oxford Language, the definition of bona fide is genuine, real, sincerely, without intention to deceive. Also, according to that same language, Agent means a person who acts on behalf of another person or group, a person or thing that takes an active role or produces a specified effect. And so, based on these definitions, as soon as an agreement has been made between the motor carrier and dispatch service company or agent, then that service will be considered a bona fide agent. The agreement specifically outlines the roles and performances of that bona fide agent. Question 8. What role do bona fide agents play in the transportation of freight? Bona fide agents are persons who are part of the normal organization of a motor carrier, okay? Um, and they perform duties under the carrier's directions pursuant to a pre-existing agreement which provides for a continuing relationship, precluding the exercise of discretion on the part of the agent and allocating traffic between the carrier and others. Okay, now listen, other types of bona fide agents of carriers include insurance agents, factoring agents, and more. But they aren't involved directly in the transportation of freight. The only part that dispatch services take place when it comes to freight movement is truck movement. Because we help manage the trucking company's operations as a whole or in part by scheduling and coordinating truck movements. Now, the last question. Are there other business models or services other than dispatch services and electronic bulletin boards that should be considered when clarifying the definition of a broker? Okay. Um, yes, there are other business models and services other than dispatch services and electronic bulletin boards, load boards, that should be considered when clarifying the definition of a broker. Okay, for the most part, some brokers are operating fraudulently and often illegally double broker loads, right? In addition, brokers are still failing to be transparent with the rates they negotiate with shippers. They refuse to pay fuel surcharges and they project unrealistic expectations and report false negatives against carriers who speak against those negative and against these, right? Their negative and unethical practices. The problem is not dispatch services who want to help protect motor carriers from these experiences, or at least be present there with them and support them through it. The problem is everything that I just named. That's the problem. And I think, to me, I would prefer them to focus on this because this is abusive. The way freight brokers operate is abusive. It's not it's not dispatch services who found the loophole. It's the freight brokers. The freight brokers found the loophole because how they're the ones they're the ones who are illegally double brokering loads. Remember, in order for double brokering to exist, there needs to be two brokers present, or else it's not double brokering. Am I making sense here? There were already rules put out stating that brokers are supposed to be more transparent with the rates. They aren't doing that. They also refuse to pay fuel surcharges. Gas prices are through the roof. They are in space at this time. So it's a lot. It's a lot happening. But I'm going to tell you something, right? All you dispatch services out there, you better tighten up. Okay? Tighten up. And I say last exit before toll because literally this is your last chance to get it together before the toll comes. So that means you're going to have to pay. You have to pay. Be careful how you establish yourself is what I mean. Tighten up. That means you need to check your website. What are you saying? How are you describing your business? When somebody asks you what you do and who you are and more about your company, what are you saying? Tighten up. Tighten up. If you need some help with that, you need to call me or get with somebody on my team. But my whole purpose out here is to help. That's what I've been doing. Because I know I done helped so many people. Listen, people come to me from every single training course. Every single one. I done heard it all. And I'm not being shady. I'm not trying to talk. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody or anything. Y'all notice I stay in my own lane. I mind my business. Right? But what I'm not about to do is let nobody play with our owner operators like that. Not the brokers, and especially not no dispatch services. Somebody's out here scamming. And whoever's scamming, they teaching other people how to scam. These courses are not, listen, all I'm gonna say is you need to call me if you are not sure if you are up to par. You can book a appointment with me, a free session for me to take a look, and I'll give you some pointers on what you need to change. But you probably need to take my course because my whole entire course goes through showing you what not to do. Most people like, oh, well, I want to know what to do. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what to do, but I'm also going to tell you what not to do. And if you are in my program and you still unsure, go back through them videos. You'll see what I'm talking about. And then what I also need you all to do is to write your letter to the FMCSA. If you want a copy of my letter, fine, send that. But you need to be sending something. Because that's why this got so far. Because while they were complaining and petitioning and doing all of this stuff, guess where the dispatch services was? Quiet. Not saying nothing. That's why they think we're scandalous, because we stay quiet. We cannot be silenced anymore. We cannot be silent anymore. We need to speak up. Write your letter. If it's an email, send your email. I'll post in my group, you know, specific instructions on how to send this in. I didn't have time to do that this morning. It's pretty late, so I'll just post it in my group. If you are on Facebook, make sure you join my group, Dispatch Dashboard Network. If you are not on Facebook, then you need to create a Facebook page to get in my group. Lots of jewels in there, lots of information, lots of people. If you want to know more about the program as far as what it does and how it helps, and if you want to see a demo of how this stuff works, it's in the group. But I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I just want you to know that time is up. We don't have time. We don't have time to play. 2023 is going to look a lot different. If you've been saying to yourself, well, you know what? Hopefully I'm, ready to jump out there by September. Tighten up. Tighten it up. All right, well, I'm going to let my eyes close, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you all do share this video with everyone else. Don't keep this information to yourself. Tag somebody, share somebody, interact with this video, like it, subscribe to the channel, drop some comments. Make this information go viral. Because it's time for a change. And we finally got the opportunity to say something. Don't sit back and do nothing. All right, well, I'm out of here. You guys have a wonderful, 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 whatever the day of this week it is. Make sure you reach out to me if you need my help. And listen, get it together, okay? We don't have time. I'm out.